Perigo, tonight's second place finisher. Plenty of fans here, Brett, and a solid second place finish.
Yeah, I got to shout out the Turn 2 Terror Boys over there. They're all a bunch of good guys to hang out with, talk to. I really like them.
How are you doing tonight, man?
Hey, I'm talking here. You know who you're talking to? Macho Man! I'm on my way to Monday Night Raw.
The second one.
Your choice.
It's a trap.
I feel like it is. I feel like he's setting up fights in the front stretch is what he's trying to do.
Speedway. We've got Devin Board with us
At Keen Motorsports Shop here with Kyle Keen.
Sitting here with Sean Keen. We're going to talk a little bit about racing history.
Yep.
Monday, October 28th, 2024. I am Jimmy here with Chris and Jay-Z. We are the Turn 2 Terribles. Thanks, everybody, so much for tuning in tonight. We got a little bit to talk about tonight. We got the Kevin Gobrecht Classic that was this past weekend at BAPS Motor Speedway. We're going to talk about that. Do a little quick preview of Bridgeport and talk about some other racing news from around the country. Want to say thank you to everybody tuning in. Santos, Marie, Randy, Daniel, thanks you guys for always tuning in. Always good seeing you guys in the chat. As always, if you guys got questions, comments, put them in the chat. Before we get into it, I just want to we want to thank our partners over at Vertical for Life. We are proud partners with them. Did you know every 22 seconds a veteran loses their life to suicide? The great people at Vertical for Life are dedicated to helping to prevent veteran suicide one beat at a time. Vertical for Life accomplishes this goal through education and assists veteran organizations to raise money through music to help our veterans gain access to life-saving resources. Right now, Vertical for Life is supporting Jimmy Jack's Shine Shack in Dillsburg as they organize a donation drive to support the hurricane relief efforts down in North Carolina, which have affected many veteran lives. Any and all donations may be dropped off straight at Jimmy Jack Shine Shack between now and November 2nd. Also, on November 10th, Vertical for Life is holding a Salute to Our Veterans event, 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. At Jimmy Jack Shine Shack, which will have 3 artists performing throughout the evening. Jake Mock from 1 to 3 p.m., Matt Jameson from 3:30 to 5:30, and then Cody Ross Smith from 6 to 8 p.m. Food will be available with Williams Custom Catering, and the event is open to all ages. Go out, hear some great music. Vertical for Life will have new t-shirts available for order. And make sure you follow Vertical for Life to help prevent veteran suicide. And for more information, we can all help make a difference. Go tell a vet and thank them that you care. You never know, it might help save their life. So we've got to thank those guys and good things that them and Jimmy Jack Shine Shack are doing. So definitely go and support that. Chris, JZ, how you guys doing tonight?
Doing good, buddy. JZ's head shaking. So he's here. I know. Good weekend. Good weekend of racing, and looking forward to talking about it.
Yeah, let's get into it. We'll go right into BAPS. Get to share my screen here. On Saturday, BAPS held their Kevin Gobrecht Classic. 30 laps, 410s. There's 38 410s, I believe there was.
Correct.
And it was a very nice car count. It was a pretty nice day. It was warm. It was a little breezy, but early start. They were, they were doing hot laps by 2:00 around ish, and kept it moving all day. Danny Dietrich grabs the win in a banger of a feature over Brent Marks, Freddie Raymer, Jacob Allen, and Justin Whittle, who went from 18th to 5th in the Stamen 23. Rounds out the top 5. This was pretty good early on. Jacob Allen started on the pole, led the first 6 or 7 laps or so, and then Brent Marks ended up passing him. And then Danny was coming. He started up there as well. And they started kind of going back and forth in traffic. Danny takes the lead with maybe
9.
Yeah, I was gonna say 10 to go. But Brent was right there. He ran him down. He actually slid him at one point. Well, didn't slide him, but had the lead at the white as they came to take the white flag. And then Danny threw a slider. Brent tried to keep his momentum up top and actually hit Danny's left rear. Kind of hopped it on the backstretch. And Freddie tried to capitalize on both of them, and almost got there for the win. So, but Danny holds on, another $10,000 to win race for him. That's good for him. And yeah, what'd you guys think of this?
I want to say I told you so last Monday because I said Danny was going to win, but he started 5th. He got up there and he took a shot on Brent there with 10:09 to go, and he parked it on his nose. And he kind of knew the gloves were off from there, and Brent chased him back down. Hi, Ant, I see you. Way to make the show, Ant Bay and Kyle Spence. So, it was just one of those. From where we started that night to where it ended was a 180, and that race was good. I mean, you talk about Justin Whittle going 18th to 5th, and he was running a completely different line most of that race. I thought Freddie was gonna have a chance there if Brent and Danny got the wheel banging or sliding and stuff, but it was a good race. It was a good battle, and I think moving forward, looking back anyway, I think both those guys can see things they could have done differently, especially Brent and how he could have won that race, maybe not running the top on the white flag lap and such. But I had fun.
Yeah, this was Danny got to have that opportunity on a restart. By the way, that slider on Brent was on a restart. So I happened to be in 3 and 4 on that restart, and I actually talked to Brent down on the front stretch after, and I said, "You're going to kick yourself in the ass when you watch the replay on the restart." And he had a plan in his head of what he wanted to do, and he just kind of got caught spinning the tires a little bit. And Danny had a better run down the hill and was on his tail tank into one. And at BAPS, you're going to take your shot. You're taking your shot for that slider. And like Danny said, he kind of thanked Brent for not wrecking him. He could have. And Brent kind of was like, yeah, I probably should have. Right. But that's good, hard racing. And if you're going to win one of those races in open air and clean air, you have to take that shot. And Danny had to take a shot. He knew he may not get many more shots in clean air. Don't know how that race is going to end up. If he has that run, he has to take the run and do what he has to do to defend. And really, he kind of got away. He got away, and then Brent started running back down the lap traffic as we expect. And Brent took his shots at him, and like I said, into the white, he had the lead coming to the white flag. So just a hell of a race all around. We all had hopes for BAPS and what a 410 show can do. This year hasn't been home runs every race for compared to most years that we've seen 410 racing at BAPS. But this one, the track work that they did created 2 lanes. Okay. It created 2 lanes. And I don't believe what we saw at the end there. Like the topic we talked with Brent last week, right? And I've had this on my mind the last couple of days after this, and the last day or so. Brent talked about the 1-inch wicker bill and it being hard to pass and the racing not be that great. Well, guess what? The 1-inch wicker bill didn't really come into play there, and it didn't have an effect. And you want to know why? Because there was 2 lanes to race on. There were 2 choices, the bottom and the top. Danny could make the bottom work, and he was making the bottom work in 3 and 4, and Brent went to the top, and the third place car went to the bottom. There were 2 lanes that were competitive, made it work. That's 1-lane racetrack, 1 lane. I don't know if there's something that can get done, right? Like, I don't think it works. Danny could run the bottom 1 and 2 really hard, slide up across. Brent could rip the top and make it work. That was what made that work, was 2 lanes. And shout out and kudos to BAPS for taking the time. Yep. Even if the event took longer than they wanted to, this was worth it. And I will die on that hill. I don't care how long I was there. I was there to watch a good 410 race, and that time gave us that opportunity to watch one, and we got one. So shout out all those guys around. Danny and Brent put on a show, and Freddie almost stealing it from both of them because they were about to F around and find out and lose that race. It got real close to the end, and I'm like, oh, this is spicy. And, man, I don't know if Freddie gets them both heads up, but those 2 make any more contact at all off of 2, beyond 2 to the checkered, Freddie steals that win. So that was awesome.
And I want to add that track work they did, I don't think it even took away. It wasn't at the show between that paint can challenge thing with John Krall and Dietrich and Moody and Kelly Stamen. That track work, you didn't even have like, wow, what are we doing here? They kept it moving, and it fit in that intermission, which we knew the intermission was coming. It was planned, and I don't think it added anything.
No,
like time-wise to it. I think it was like the perfect way to do it. So kudos to them for also planning ahead, having an intermission. I know BAPS is really good about that, even on their regular shows.
They usually do.
And they got to utilize it. I don't think anyone even thought like, oh, what are we doing here? Like, no, you knew there was something happening that filled the time, and it wasn't just like nonsense like you had some other places. So I mean, kudos to them for that.
Yeah, they had stuff all day. They started at noon, with like a kids fest. Basically, they had a little bouncy house. They had some other activities. There was drivers there. Brent Marks, Kyle Moody, Steve Wilbur, a couple others were there signing autographs. And it was a good day to be out. It was a little breezy, but it was a beautiful, nice, sunny day, not a cloud in the sky. And they did group time trials for both the 410s and the swingless sportsmen. Kind of ended up that adds some time because you only throw about 4 out there at a time. And I thought the track held up pretty well in the heats. It got, and we've seen this happen during daytime shows at BAPS where 3 and 4 just becomes hug the bottom to the point where they were knocking the tractor tires out and wrecking off the tractor tires. It was just so locked down on the bottom. I don't think it was rubber down. It was just locked down on the bottom. 1 and 2 though, you could move around the top. They were banging the boards up top. And then when they did the rework, the track you could move all over the place. It was a great feature, just the exact type of racing you come to expect from BAPS.
Heats were so sketchy. You mentioned it. Dominic Miller flipped.
Yes.
Macri flipped, running that top.
I was just gonna say that. One name that you don't see on this list is Anthony Macri. Wrecked in his heat race. Started at the back of his B. Worked his way up, but didn't quite get there. I think he finished like 6th or 7th.
He finished 6th, yeah, and they took 4.
And they took top 4. So, it wasn't easy just to go and get around. There was a lot of good competition. Actually, Dominic Miller, didn't he make the feature?
He made it.
He made it, and he started behind.
He started,
I believe, and I believe he started behind Macri in the B main. So he looked really good. So both of those guys wrecked in their heats. Dom gets in, Macri does not. So that was, who knows what could have happened if he was there, because he was very fast. I think he was quick time in his group. But I mean, hey, you can't step on your dick like that.
Yeah, I tell you what, I don't, watching, I was standing in 1 and 2 for those heat races, and it was entertaining. It was up on the wall pretty hard, but I think those guys were having trouble seeing because the sun was right over the wall in their eyes, and up on the wall, it was very close to the wall, and a lot of the dirt had packed itself in the fence. Now there were still like different colors, but it was it was all in shadow. Like there was a shadow on the wall and like 6, 8 feet down off the wall. So they were driving into the sun and the wall was in shadows. I think honestly the visibility was a problem there. And then if it was dusty, whatever, that was definitely created some moments, because there were more moments that didn't end up in crashes that almost did.
Yeah.
I don't want to see race cars torn up, but damn, making these guys work was fun to watch.
Yep.
Right, and speaking of that dust, I mean, down, Jimmy, you were right behind the flag stand. I was more towards turn 4. When those starts, you couldn't even see the reflections off wings going through 1 and 2 through the heats, where the way the sun was, through that dust. So that makes sense, but it's part of BAPS. It's BAPS lore right there.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Jay-Z's right, just the way the sun was hitting and everything too, just magnified all of that. The dust, how close it was up to the wall. I think the racing itself wasn't bad. I think the track was fine.
Right.
And what else happened? There was somebody else. Oh, they were running under caution Kyle Moody's deal.
He crashed. I don't know what his deal was, but got spun, whatever. But Brent Shear broke under caution. That heat race was all chaos.
Yeah. So Moody was slow on the backstretch and rolled to a stop in turns 3 and 4. He didn't pull into the pits. I'm assuming it was a safety issue because he was so fired up that they were sending him to the back, because he ended up being the caution because he stopped on the track. But apparently it was I don't know, but the way he was acting, it had to be because of a safety issue. So to the point where he's pointing at every single official as he's pacing around. He's trying to pull up and he ended up getting a black flag. And then after that heat race, I was standing right behind the flag stand, and Moody he was pissed and he walked down underneath the tunnel to go back out, I guess, to go talk to somebody. So yeah, it was and then during that same caution, like you said, Brent Shear, who was leading I think he led.
He led some. I think he was running in the transfer spot.
I thought he was leading. He was definitely up there, but I guess his rear end just broke under caution as they were rolling around, and they had to tow him off.
Yeah, he stopped right in front of us, and you can see the right rear was just kind of cambered, which isn't good for a right rear the way it was cambered. So bizarre heat race. I mean, Brett Strickler broke in that heat race. Only 6 cars finished that heat race, which was bizarre. Like,
just good runs also. But Justin Whittle was really good in the 23. He was the hard charger, up 13 spots. He looked, and I mean, honestly, this is, if this is 35 laps, he might have been in the mix there, because Jacob and Freddie were right there at the end as well. When Danny and Brent were going back and forth there.
It was interesting seeing him run a different line. Like, he was running a lower line. We used to, the Whittle, at least in 67, it was kind of up on the top, I mean, Dave Harry talked about in his interview, you're kind of the high flyer, but he was doing that middle of the low line, and he was just clipping cars off, and it was fun to watch. Like, every time off 4, he was passing either 1 or 2 cars that lap. It was pretty good driving.
Dominic Miller went up 10 spots. He went from 24th to 14th. Kyle Spence, he made it into the feature through the B main and went 23rd to 5th. Shout out those guys, Aunt Bay and all them, that whole team. There was between Kyle Reinhardt and Dylan Norris. I think that was the only caution in the feature, was between those two guys. They were wrecked, and actually during that, Justin Whittle did a 360 to avoid it and kept his spot, which was pretty awesome. So, Fred Putt, thank you for the insight here.
That makes sense. They did black flag another car after this.
Yeah,
the 9 car.
And I'm wondering if that fluid on the track was Shear.
Could be,
because he broke right after. So
right,
who knows?
because I was watching it because I was sitting there and we looked at them pointing at the 99 black flag, and then the next time they came through, they pointed at the 9 with the black flag. So I'm wondering if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
maybe. Yeah, that's true. So it was very interesting heat race, and I get it why Moody would be mad, but he also stopped on the track.
I'm just wondering if he was being told to go back and he was trying to tell them, no, we don't want to go racing yet. There's fluid on the track.
Well, if he stopped, like that's the debate. Safety, these guys can stop if their own safety devices are a problem. Do you stop on the racetrack,
When
say
there's-
there's oil on the racetrack, consider it a safety issue and think you'll get your spot back, right? Like I guess living like if your belts
Yeah.
are loose, you get your spots back. And they show it. If you stop to point out debris or something while they haven't found it or seen it, but you stop, I guess by the rule book it doesn't count. I mean, I think he maybe looked out for the safety of everyone, but if it's not legit, you held.
He was.
Did you? I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. That's a big.
He was technically the cause of the caution because he stopped on the track, like in the middle of green flag action.
That's
so
right. That's right. It was green. He pulled off. You're right. So I mean, don't do that. I guess.
Yeah.
Drivers, I guess you don't do that.
Just don't run through the fluid. I
It
don't
sucks,
know.
but I don't know.
He stopped originally because someone keyed up on the radio and he thought they yelled red, but
Oh no, even more reason to be pissed.
yeah. So there's.
Does this shit
I don't
only
know.
happen at BAPS? Is this like
Yes.
a like
Yes, I'm pretty sure this only does.
man?
Yeah. So that's all interesting. So
It's bizarre for sure.
bummer for him because he ends up missing the feature because of that. He finished 8th in the B main.
He got caught up in that crash whenever the 11 caught the tire on the start. He was caught
Yes. Yeah, there was a big pile up on the front stretch. There was cars hitting the tractor tires. It was a very eventful day. Look at Dominic Miller plus 11 in the B main. He was just ripping all night. So good for him. Any other thoughts from the 410s on Saturday?
Nope, 2 more to go. Basically is where I'm at. We got Bridgeport and
I kind of.
Yeah.
oh boy.
Kind of. Some of the best racing we saw in the heat races was in this wingless sportsman, even though they were fighting for the bottom.
Yep.
No aero. You saw Robbie Kendall with a no front wing and a busted up top wing almost hold on to a transfer. Well, it did hold on to a transfer spot in their flag for a while. And the track was slowed down. The aero didn't matter as much. So, like, again, going slick isn't always like a bad thing. It created the cars being together and took some of the aero factors out of this thing. I'm just saying. I don't want to see rubber. We don't want to see one lane. But if they can figure out slow the cars down, take some of the aero stuff out of it. When it's heavy and locked down like this aero stuff matters more and more and more, and it becomes this debate of shitty racing.
Just saying. and it that's one reason why Port has risen up. You know what I mean? Because, I mean, maybe not this year, but what they started doing was figuring out ways to make that track slick from bottom to top and have multiple lines and not be so aero dependent. You know, to a point. BAPS is definitely a smaller, tighter track than that, but same concept, like you're saying, and I agree. And then the wingless sportsman, real quick. It was a big race for them. They're racing for Outreach, their season finale. Billy Bryan gets the win over Tony Jackson and Brian Nace. I know, Chris, you want to talk about this?
I wanted a couple things here worth mentioning. This turned into an endurance race, almost 40 laps, and there was some right rear tire issues that kept stalling it out and stuff. But Brian Nace, I think, could have won that race. he had some looks a few times, and in that last restart, he actually had a run, and that's how he lost second. He was in Billy Bryan's tire tracks all night long. And it was a close. Craig Perigo, everyone was up there in a line. It was kind of like you saw Craig Perigo, Trent Yoder, and Tony Jackson kind of coming from deeper in the field, 8th, 10th, and think Tony was 12th. But those guys are fast. Trent Yoder's won 10 races. Tony Jackson is very good in a sportsman of any kind.
Move the mic closer.
And Craig Perigo is good. Thank you, Jeremy. And then, but Brian Nace had, he started his year off at Williams Grove, flipping wildly on the backstretch, that scary crash at the opener. Running there, and I think he had a better car than Billy Bryan. Billy Bryan's been around a long time, had the experience. I think that's what won that race there. He managed his tires and managed it well. I was entertained for, considering late night, kind of cold, and the way the track was, but those guys always put on a good show. It might be Billy Bryan's last race. He said in Victory Lane, his last race, I guess his first win was at BAPS. JZ, I know you were down there taking pictures. First race for him, first win in his career was at BAPS, and then kind of tied off. He doesn't know yet. A lot of long off season, so just a cool night. It's a cool night. The division's always cool. Seeing some of those guys that've been around for a long time. Like Steve Wilbur, he won the touring championship. He clinched that on Saturday, and then Billy Bryan won the Racing for Outreach Points Championship, which was a small little mini championship they did for the Finkenbinder race. So I don't know. I was entertained.
So, I only had one issue with this race, and it was the yellow flag about 100 feet before the checkered flag. I don't understand it. I'll never understand it. Why we had to have a one-lap shootout. We had tire wear. We had blown tires. Everybody was on the edge of wear, and we threw a yellow flag 100 feet from the start-finish line for a car that was spun out in 1 and 2. But here's what happened. The 66 Yoder had a flat tire coming off of 4 as leaders are approaching. He gets down off the racetrack out of the racing line. That's not what the yellow came out for. He was not even in turn 1 yet. Someone spins out in the middle of 1 and 2. The race is going to be over. We throw a yellow flag before Billy Bryan was about 100 feet from the start finish line to finish the race. To have another restart, why?
Yeah. And on that restart,
Yoder was closer than the car that was spun out.
Yeah.
In potential danger. We didn't throw that for that, though.
And Yoder was trying to get to the infield.
Correct.
And it was his intention. And once they threw the yellow, he sped back up to go back around to get a new tire.
There was no need for that. If we had more blown tires and it just keeps going and going and going, it was the dumbest yellow I've seen in a long time. And I disagree with it wholeheartedly. And they can get these guys, hey, yellow flag, checkers yellow, done, car spun in 1 and 2.
Right.
It just didn't make any sense. Everybody's standing there dumbfounded. Why? What? This race needed to end.
Right.
They already had a fuel stop in a freaking wingless sportsman feature. We had blown tires. We know there's rubber. We have another feature to do. Come on.
Right. And even on that restart, that one lap shootout, John Edkin had a flat tire and was dancing his way to the finish line in front of those cars, and that right rear let go. It was a ticking time bomb. If they keep doing it, at some point you're going to have Billy Bryan with a flat tire. That'd have been heartbreaking to lead all that race and run that race and have that go down. So I agree. I didn't even see the spin. I thought it was for Yoder pulling off, and they instructed him.
I looked over and there was a car spun, so maybe it wasn't. I don't even know.
They instructed. I saw the flyman point him to the infield, and he was going down there, and they were watching it and everything like that. So that was interesting. I didn't even know who spun. There was probably a flat tire for them too. It was crazy.
Yeah, but anyway. But again, congrats to Billy Bryan. Big win for him. Emotional victory lane for sure. He said he's not sure what the future holds for him. But sport's better with him, and great career if that's the end.
And I think it goes back to last year. This race, he was going to win too, the Britton Finkenbinder Memorial last year, and Tony Jackson went and took it from him with 3 to go. So good redemption story for him for sure.
Pat Brewer says, "Good evening, fellas. Thanks for tuning in." Tyler says Tony Jackson was the show. Solid run for Chad Baker as well with a top 5. Dave Scott Smeltzer here says, "Hi guys, just watching in the hospital. Just had surgery today. We hope you're doing all right, buddy. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you get well soon. We all do." And then Brad says, "PA needs to get away from one lap shootouts. If you're going to throw it, unless it is detrimental, throw the yellow and checker."
Yeah, that's something. I will say there was a big debate during this wingless feature about if Larry Jackson was in fact in the grandstands. Turns out he was, and you would not even know how unanimated he was watching Tony drive through the field, being the show. Larry Jackson's just sitting there stone cold, and it was fun to see him up there in the grandstands, probably 10 yards away from us, just studying, just watching his boy.
So there was also Extreme Stocks there. I didn't stay for either one. How was you guys stay for that? Was it good?
Jeremy did.
They seemed like they were fun in the heats.
Yeah, it was good. I think Sammy Ryle took the track championship, his multiple fifth one maybe now. But the 79, Patrick McLean, yeah, he started on the pole and led every lap. Honestly, he was head and shoulders the best car of the night. He was on Sammy Ryle's tail tank during his heat race and was really not. Sounded like, from what I talked to him with Victor Lane, he was really not driving that hard. He had that thing hooked up and really driving well. And as the laps went on, he pulled away from Sammy. So I've seen better extreme stock races before, but I'm sure Patrick doesn't really care about what happened behind him as long as he gets the win. So second win of the year for him. And it was a milestone victory, I think, for him too. I forget the exact total. I'm sure someone in here will know, but he's a big number now, total career wins. So I love this division. Whenever they're around, no matter where, I try to get to them. Love when they come to Lincoln. I miss these cars racing at Lincoln. They got rained out, I think, both times this year from Lincoln, so which sucks. But 20 or 20 or so of these cars, and some good cars, and then there was definitely some learning going on, I think, throughout the field, and that's kind of what this class is. So looking forward to seeing them again next year.
Real quick, we'll cap one more thing to cap off with BAPS before we go into anything else. I just thought they ran a very great show. They did a lot of different things for this event. Not only was it a big race for the 410s, but like I said, it was big for the wingless sportsmen. They ran group hot laps, or timed hot laps for both. And there's some big money up for grabs, and they got a good turnout. And at first I was a little worried because I'm looking at when they're starting to do hot laps, I'm like, man. But by the end, by heat race time, the stands were getting pretty packed. So that was pretty good. It was good to see a good crowd there on hand for that one, and a very well ran show by BAPS. So shout out to them. World of Outlaws. They were supposed to have 2 races here at Riverside. Only ended up having one. Saturday got rained out, which apparently was a point of contention. I didn't really read too much into it, but I guess people were pretty upset about it. But on Friday night, Carson Macedo gets to win after leading all 30 laps over David Gravel and Sheldon Hodenshield. Donnie Schatz, hard charger. Chris Windham with a top 10. Sammy Swindell finishes 10th. Still doing it, man. Still doing it. That's pretty cool to see. But yeah, that was so that's that. They are off this weekend as they gear up for the World Finals, and then they're done. So we're really getting to the end of it here. Any thoughts from this? All right. Well, let's get into this weekend coming up. So, like I said, World of Outlaws are off. No more High Limit. So, really, the only race in town is Bridgeport this weekend. The Dirty Jersey finale, Friday and Saturday. Friday night, 410 sprint cars will have a 20-lap non-winners race. So, if you did not win a race this year, you are eligible to go win $1,000. If you did win a race, there's still time practice where the top two times in practice lock in to the Saturday feature. So there's still some money out there up for grabs. You get some practice because these guys don't run down there at Bridgeport, and you get to be down there for 2 nights. So you also have wingless sprints for a 20-lap feature and 4 cylinders for a 20-lap feature for full programs with both of those. That's on Saturday. Pits are at 3:30. Grandstands are at 5. Warm-ups at 6. Then on Saturday is the big one, $10,000 to win, 4 to 410 sprint cars. All sorts of extra money being thrown up here. $500 for quick time, $500 for the dash winner, $500 for highest points. All heat race winners receive a right rear tire, and first non-qualifier receives a right rear tire. Plus, you have modifieds on the card, which modifieds there are, when I say I'm not huge on late models, but I like watching them at Port. I get the same feeling with modifieds at Bridgeport. They are fun. So they'll be there. They get a good turnout. And then they'll also have the 4 cylinders there. So it's going to be a pretty good day. Pits are at 12 on Saturday. Grandstands at 1 with actually getting underway at 3 p.m. So, if you're thinking about making the trip down, it looks like good weather. It's an early start. You wouldn't get home too late. I think Danny's has a big hand in running and promoting this, and we talked about it with him when he was on here a couple weeks ago, and he was just talking about don't do the flex time, don't do that, but it just has a lot of potential to have maybe get 30-35 cars at least, almost match BAPS almost maybe on Sunday. They already have 20 guys confirmed, and then and good big names. You're going to see the debut of Dason Pursley in the Buick 13. You have Ryan Timms back in the 27 car, and with the World Finals being starting on Wednesday or Thursday or whatever, guys trying to get to the East Coast, you might see some people, pop up that are going to go to the World Finals. It's a very strategic weekend for them, and I think I'm hoping they get a really, really good turnout.
All I want to know is Dirk Rimrod. How many divisions will he be running?
He might have a 4-cylinder. He seems like the guy that would have a 4-cylinder because he ran a modified and a 410.
It's been sitting out back of the garage. He's going to tow it behind the sprint car on the open trailer and the modified somehow. He's going to
4-cylinder is towing the sprint car.
Yeah, he's going to bring a fleet of race cars. Dirk Rimrod for president, bro. I'm here for it.
I was actually keeping notes. The confirmed drivers so far, you got Danny, you got Macri, Kyle Reinhardt, Justin Whittle, Lance DeWeese, Freddie Raymer, Kyle Spence, JJ Loss, TJ Grieve, Dason Pursley, Ryan Timms, Aiden Borden, JT Ferry, Tyler Ross, Davey Franick, Denny Peoples, Cam Smith, Mike Thompson, Dylan Norris, and Aaron Bollinger making the trip down. And I'm sure as we get closer, you'll start hearing about more, maybe guys that just didn't want to announce too early that they're going, maybe wanted to see what the weather and everything was going to do. So I think it's going to be a great time. I think a lot of you're going to get a good car count, and I think if you cannot make it to this race, though, is it Dirt Track Digest TV, something like that? We'll have it. I think they are streaming it, so it's not on Flow or.
I think it's Sprint Car Unlimited, actually. Let me double check because I just saw Jeremy Elliott post about this.
Oh, really?
I think so. Let me double check because I know there's a partnership between like DTD and Sprint Car. Let me check.
Marie Beasley here says, waiting to hear about the number 5 car, the CJB number 5. Supposed to be there. Driver not announced yet. Rumor is Brenham Crouch. We have also heard the same thing. While we're on that subject real quick, Justin Peck got announced for the Rudine number 26. Glad to see that he did. Races on DTD and Sprint Car Unlimited. So that's cool. So you have 2 ways to watch. So if you have a DTD subscription, which a lot of modified fans probably have, you can watch it there, or you could buy it one time on Sprint Car Limited. That is awesome that they're doing that, I think, because I don't think you're going to get a lot of Sprint Car fans who would, just get that the other another subscription or buy, you know what I mean? So that's cool that 2 of them are doing it. I think that's going to help this race immensely. Maybe not for. I think attendance will be good, but maybe they put on a good show. It'll get more people and get this going as a yearly thing as they've been doing it for the past couple of years. It's fun. I know people that like the old Bridgeport track layout when it was a 5/8. in comparison to the new, but I love this new configuration, to be honest, at least from the one time I've been there and from other races I've seen there. Chris, JC, Chris, and Jimmy, are you guys coming? I will be there. Trying to talk
Soldier. I will not be there.
Been trying to talk Chris into going, and Jay-Z unfortunately won't be able to either. But
not this year. I wish I could, but I've been the last two. I like this event. I would absolutely support it. Won't make it this year.
Bridgeport is a stock car track going to get cold. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like mid high 60s during the day and then get down into like the low 40s. So I think with the 3 p.m. start time and they keep it moving, they usually do a thing with they'll probably do the thing with the trick-or-treaters where they bring the cars out behind the grandstands during the intermission as they rework the track. It's early enough that they can do some work to it. So yeah, if you can make it there, get there. It's gonna be great. I think they're gonna have a really good turnout, and if not, you do have ways to watch it. So definitely support it either way, as they're putting a lot into this. Couple little notes. This just came out, and this is something that we have talked about with drivers on this podcast, and you guys on this podcast. Hoosier Racing, about 2 hours before we came on here, has released one of these graphic statements. Usually you see these in like an apology, but this is like the opposite. I'm going to read it here. At Hoosier Racing Tire, we believe in doing our part to ensure that a shared love of motorsport sparks passion, pride, and success. It has become apparent in recent months, however, that sometimes that passion crosses into an unacceptable behavior. While we recognize the deep commitment racers have for their craft, we condemn any use of verbal or physical aggression within our sport towards our employees or others. We are committed to partnering with racers globally to remedy concerns, issues, or questions related to the Hoosier Racing Tire family openly accept feedback. Our at-track tire representatives welcome calm and collected conversations during race events as it pertains to Hoosier products. Further feedback can also be provided contacting our customer service. We encourage respectful conversation within our sport as we consistently strive to ensure the best racing experience for all. So now Hoosier they do a lot of asphalt stuff as well. So I don't know what incident happened here, but obviously something sparked there where there was something at the track that maybe made an employee get into a physical altercation with somebody or what, but they're listening, I guess. I don't know. It was just a very interesting tweet that they kind of say that they're listening, but kind of like, hey, our at-track tire representatives welcome calm and collected conversations during race events. So I don't know what happened. If anybody knows what the motive is behind this, it could have been from anything, but
I'll just say it was our comments in the last week or two. My comments about their inconsistent, shitty tire quality, but maybe it's that. I'll take the blame for it. You can send me an email.
You heard it here first, boys.
We're nobodies. That's not true. Anybody watching, that's not true.
But you have a Hoosier logo literally on your shoulder, so clearly it's not true. Right over your shoulder. Put your shoulder back down. There you go. There it is. You need to duct tape that thing like Brent did.
So yeah, I just thought this was interesting and something that just to touch upon. It seems to be, I don't know, frustrations from drivers are boiling over, but maybe Hoosier's listening now. Obviously, they're trying to say that they are. So
bold move to put your email up there because they're gonna get Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. God knows what kind of emails that poor sap's gonna have to read over the next.
So very interesting. And then, like we said, Justin Peck to the Rudine 26. Happy for him. Sucks for Zeb Wise, but I'm sure he will land on his feet somewhere. But a good quality ride for Justin Peck. We'll see what happens with him, if they go back high limit or what. And then Randy touches on something here that I saw on Dirt Tracker. Rumor has it that David Gravel's sponsor wants to switch to high limit next season. So something that Dirt Tracker had said was there is a possibility that Huset's and their High Bank Nationals, which their High Bank Nationals have already been announced. It is not on the World of Outlaws website. World of Outlaws haven't touched it at all. They haven't promoted it, said anything about it, nothing. That could open the door for Flow and High Limit to come in, which could then open the door also for the Huset sponsored and owned basically car of David Gravel to switch over to High Limit, which would be wild. It's just a rumor, it's just a theory, but I don't think Dirt Tracker would have said it on one of his episodes if it didn't have some traction.
He also said in an episode, maybe he's the guy, Todd Queering, could get Hughes to have both divisions there. So then this would all be null and void.
Yep. And this is what Dylan Sterner here says, WRG is drawing a fit because Lucas Oil late models are scheduled for Huset's. And they are on the schedule. They're already, they've been on there. So, and Lucas Oil, Flow Racing. So they could switch from Flow. Like that's a big switch. That's another big race for High Limit if they do get it. He also went on to talk about big changes to the High Limit schedule. It doesn't sound like they're going down south to start the year. Maybe they start later. I don't know. Or maybe they start somewhere else. Maybe trying to get more PA and Ohio tracks involved. It's going to be fun to see.
A High Limit, maybe Vegas to start the season. From what
I could see that. Yeah.
Pretty far west to start a year, but
it would match NASCAR weekend.
Yeah. When we had Brent on here last week, he was talking about they seem to be pretty receptive to what, guys are saying there, taking feedback. He was talking about more breaks in between. So, and then, this week, Dirt Tracker's talking about the schedule could look a lot different. So it'll be interesting to see what happens when they drop it. Last year, they dropped it on December 1st, I believe. So, and then PRI is in the middle of December. That's usually when a lot of things start to really come to a head. So, be interesting to keep an eye out. Will be it's not just drivers right now with silly season. It's tracks, it's these series, it's all that. So there's a lot of deciding going on for next year that we could see some exciting stuff. A lot of people on Twitter want Hagerstown race for High Limit. I 100% support it. I agree. Yeah. So, anything else? Any other things to note?
Drink it or dump it.
Let's do drink it or dump it. You guys know how we do this every week. Drink it to somebody you want to give props to. Dump it to somebody who maybe had a bad weekend, and you want to give them a little bit of recognition. Put yours in the chat, as always. Chris, you want to go first?
Sure. I'm going to drink it to Justin Whittle jumping in that new car. He's had speed, done a lot of things with his own car. Obviously, the equipment, he's been through some stuff this year, but he has 2 wins in his own car, takes the 23 in Devin Borden's absence while he does whatever he is doing for himself. Drives 18th to 5th, and he looked good doing it. He looked like a maturing driver. It looks someone that has maybe learned something or got something from that team at the very least. So look forward to seeing where that goes for him. He's always been a good guy. We had him on the show. We saw him walk around. His backpack is the size of him, which is amazing. That he's carrying it out of the track. So, and dump it. Probably to all the right rear tires that blew for the wingless sportsmen. It's unfortunate because I think it took away, Trent Yoder and Craig Perrigo are forces in that. And just overall, it's not good for any of those guys, but it happens and that's racing. But it's tough.
10 right rear tires and cost them all like $63 combined.
True. That wasn't even a huge problem. That's an open tire rule for them. They could do whatever the hell they want.
Tires are 10 years old, man.
Jay-Z?
I'm going to drink it to Austin Bishop, a strong top 10 at BAPS with a really strong field. Really, really good run by Alston. So, the 35 was kind of quiet a couple weeks. He ran the 11 a couple weeks. 35 is back out, and that's got to be a good little confidence boost to end the season. I would imagine you see him at Bridgeport. He's from that area. He's ran that race before, so I think he was on that confirmed list there, but maybe he was. But so drink it to Austin Bishop there, and there was a lot of good runs in that race. So I don't want to discount anyone else that I might have missed, but good run for them for sure. Dump it is kind of a wild one. I think like Zeb Wise, in my opinion. I think that performance and results matter. It just amazes me how a team can end the year before as strong as they did, go into this year as contenders to win a high limit title. Like everyone put them on that list of like, damn, Zeb Wise and Rudine, the way they finished the season, the program, and he's out of a ride. He's too talented to be out of a ride. That's the way it goes in that business. It's a meritocracy, and those who win get opportunities, and those who don't or perform. So hopefully he'll land on his feet. He's too good not to. So they'd be my two for this week.
Those are good ones. My drinket's I have two drinkets. I'm going to drink at the Danny Dietrich on his win. And then also for all of his involvement with this Bridgeport race coming up. I hope it's a success. Sound like he had a pretty good night on Saturday with BAPS.
Sources say he had a good night.
And then I also want to give a shout out to Kyle Spence, Aunt Bay, and that whole team getting into the feature and moving up. They've struggled a little bit ish early in the night and ended up, just willing their way into the feature and gaining some spots. They look good. So I know they're amped up for Bridgeport this weekend because that's their home track, and Kyle runs really good there. So, look for him to be a threat this weekend. My dump it would be to, and there's not a lot of things to dump it to. Kyle Moody's whole situation. It sucks because that took a good car out of the mix because he's really good at BAPS. He was fast, and who knows what he could have did in that feature if he had been able to keep his spot or whatever happened, if he's able just to kind of do what he was doing there in that heat race. So let's get to some of yours. Oh, I do want to give a special shout out to Brett Perigo. That is a fancy panel that I got. I got this at Saturday thanks to Brett. I wish it was under different circumstances. You're not from an absolutely junked race car that he junked at Williams Grove, but I'm very honored to have this because it's the first time our logo went onto a race car, and always makes us very proud to see it. So it's here on the wall, part of T2T forever.
That is probably the only straight panel that came off that car. So that's also amazing.
It still has all the grease and dirt and everything on it down on the bottom there.
The only straight panel and the only straight bar, everything. You got it all right there.
Dakota says, well, first of all, Dakota said earlier, what did he say? He said, Critter, you want me to pick you up and we can take on AC?
Not going to AC. Absolutely not.
I think that's the plan. I think I'm doing the Danny plan and going. Maybe we go to AC after Bridgeport. But he said dump at the Poppy's Achilles.
Indeed.
Matthew Bird, drink it to it's flea market weekend. Time to get ready for the 2025 season. I know that's a big thing on Saturday. Dump it. Sorry, I missed most of the show. All good, man. I understand. We all understand. Brad Weatherby, drink it. T2T. Thank you, sir. Dump it to all the teams that had trouble this season. Get up and come back next year. We support you. Daniel Lee, drink it to Brady Bacon and the Hoffman Racing 69. From what I heard on Flow, Brady is going wing racing next year. That is true. Sounds like they're going pretty hard at it, too. I don't know if he's necessarily going to follow a series, but he's going to be, 50, 60 races probably just about. And I agree with Jay-Z and dumping it to Zebwise this year. Randy Kopp, drink it to Logan Seavey. Excuse me. He had a great year in USAC in 2024. Dump it to the end of the season of racing. Tyler Koenig, I like this one. Drink it to successful return of racing to Pennsboro last week. And what they have done in about 5 weeks down there to transform that place from an overgrown mess to a track that looked pretty damn good. Shout out to them. It's good to see tracks come back, not go away.
Did you see this drone shot? The shape of that place?
It's such a weird, it's such a weird track. Turn 1 actually goes over. I mean, we have tunnels but they have a bridge that goes over like a little creek in Turn 1. Like it's a little brook that runs underneath Turn 1 on a little bridge. It's actually pretty cool.
You say crick?
He did say crick.
I did say crick.
He went
it matches. It's a very Pennsboro racetrack.
Things the same.
Down the crick. Dump it to daylight savings time on Sunday. Holy shit, really? And getting darker an hour earlier. Get an extra hour of sleep, though. An extra hour at the casino. I'm just saying.
Dark hour earlier does not help my hunting, Tyler. That does not help.
I've done that before. I went out to a music festival down at Asbury Park, New Jersey. And there was a DJ playing Saturday into Sunday during daylight savings time. We had an extra hour drinks and shit. So it's pretty cool. Mandy says, drink it to Gary and DD on win number 150. That was pretty cool. Gary went up and did the wing dance. That was a pretty cool moment for them. Don Malera, Justin Whittle, and Tony Jackson at BAPS with some solid runs. Dump it to Macri. Also, a huge dump it to the people on social media celebrating him crashing, saying he deserved it, etc., etc. Kyle Moody. Yeah, that's not. I mean, you don't want to see anybody wreck. You don't want to see anybody tear up equipment, but fandom goes pretty far. Dylan Sterner, drink it cold, Duncan, and Pennsboro Speedway. Dump it to World of Outlaws early cancellation. And then one more. Marie says, dump it to the passing of track owner of US 36 Raceway. Rest in peace. Got to do one more. They're coming in. Aunt Bay, dump it to Chris for not saying hi. Drink it to Jay-Z first.
Aunt, I didn't even see you, okay? I didn't even see you, Aunt Bay. I parked in front of your hauler, though. I did do that.
Jay-Z is so unamused.
Jay-Z is not happy about this tournament.
Sir, my real friends, aunt, said that I was going in for a certain body part reduction surgery.
Yes.
That's real friends. That's what they wanted to. That's what the real friends say, not that. Okay.
That's it. We're gonna see what the schedule does here for us from here on out. Now that we're at the end of the season, we'll definitely, we got to do our year-end show. We did the report card grades last year, so I'm going to try to get those put together here in the next week or two so we could do that show. We'll recap the World Finals, but then after that, we're probably going to take the winner off until, a little bit before Icebreaker. So only a few more shows in this season left for us as well. So we appreciate all of you, but it doesn't mean we're not going to put out content or anything. We have some things planned, but in terms of a weekly show, probably only a couple more weeks, and then we'll probably take a little bit of a break.
You know what else I was thinking?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to probably do a social media post on this soon. We should get a sponsor for Drink It or Dump It. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Anybody out there has an idea of a cool company, a cool idea for that segment? We'd love to shout out a business company, help support the show and keep this going. What we want to do next year, part of this deal is we want to do more live stuff at the racetracks, and there's some equipment we want to get for it. And all that stuff that for the segments and sponsors will go toward that. We had a great time at the Chili Cook-Off. Appreciate George bringing his equipment down, but we'd like to have our own for sure. It's a lot of logistics to get that there and rent it and, whatever. So, if you're anybody out there looking to support a segment or sponsor the show in general, we would love to have your support and, pass the word along. We're going to make a social media post coming up, a little more formal than this, but we want to continue to do this for all of you. Well, this will continue, but we'd love to do it more at the racetrack, have some interaction with all of you at the racetracks next year. So if you know anybody, send them our way. We appreciate all of you.
Yeah. And we've been taking baby steps to get this year to try to get to where we want to get to next year. And I think, part of that will be some of this time off to try to get some things together. We want to up the production of the show. We want to do more things at the track, be more involved. But we need some help doing it a little bit. So absolutely. We would love to, we like to, showcase drivers. We also would like to showcase the businesses that support these drivers as well. So, definitely reach on out. Yeah. Anything else?
See you all next week.
Yes,
Hopefully.
we will
Maybe.
see you guys.
Maybe.
No, we'll be here. We'll be here. I would say probably 2 more shows, and then that's probably going to be it. So,
Guys, I guess that's it.
at least for a little bit. We'll be around, though.
It's not goodbye.
Guys, get to the
Goodbye
track
for
on
now.
Bridgeport if you're able to. If not, buy it. And we will see you guys next week.